Let's talk about natural preservatives because honestly, this is one of the most misunderstood parts of skincare, especially natural skincare. When we hear the word preservative, we often tense up, we recoil, we think maybe if we can't pronounce it, something must be bad or chemical or synthetic or maybe unsafe. But the truth is, if your formula contains water in it, if it's a lotion or a cream or anything with water, you have to have a preservative. And that's because water grows bacteria, it grows yeast, it grows mold, and oftentimes you don't even see or smell that before it's proliferating in your lotion bottle. So the question should be, what kind of preservative is in there, not if there is a preservative in it. So different preservatives protect against different things. Many natural products use things like a lactobacillus ferment or a radish root ferment. It's marketed more as a gentle natural option, but sounds like kombucha, right? Sounds a little groovier, but you need to know these things if you're using a ferment. Those systems, they don't protect against everything, and they're often kind of weak against mold. They're inconsistent against yeast and often much less effective against gram-negative bacteria. And you do not want that growing in your lotion. So it doesn't mean they're bad. It just means if you use those things, you have to use them in 3 months. And if you don't use it, you need to throw it out. And also you need to make sure that it's more of in a controlled system. You don't want a lot of wet hands in a lotion bottle. You don't want it sitting where there's lots of hands around that lotion bottle. And quite honestly, my life is not that way. I don't have tightly controlled conditions. I've got 4 kids. It's a little bit wild. So my lotions sit on a bathroom counter. Sometimes they get opened with damp hands. And that is why I use a product that is called GeoGuard. GeoGuard is still EcoCert and Cosmos approved, but it's not a ferment. It's a broad spectrum protection, and it works against yeast, it works against mold, it works against all of those different kinds of bacteria. Now, if you look, it doesn't say GeoGuard on the label. It actually has all of the individual components on the label. So it says things like, a salicylic acid, glycerin, benzyl alcohol, and sorbic acid. That's actually what GeoGuard is, and it's actually really well tolerated by most people. Most importantly, it holds up in real world use. So let's talk finally about synthetics. This is where a lot of people are fearful and they don't like the word synthetic. People think it means harsh, and sometimes synthetics can be harsh, but many of them are actually nature identical. And so that's where we need to talk about common preservatives that you see. So many times you'll see a name like phenoxyethanol, or maybe sodium benzoate, maybe potassium sorbate. So these are used because they're highly studied, they're highly controlled, they're very effective even at low levels, and they're predictable and they're very stable. And many times, honestly, they're often less irritating than some of the natural systems. So I don't want you to be scared of those specific ones. In fact, many times those ingredients are naturally occurring in foods, fruits, or plants, but they're just produced in a controlled way so that they behave consistently. So you'll see sometimes some of those synthetics in things like baby products, or even things in medical skincare or for highly sensitive formulas or skincare. So it doesn't mean those things are necessarily bad or that those brands are cutting corners. It just means that they need something consistent that they can produce at high amounts. So I lean into natural because it's my philosophy. I'm not opposed to synthetics though if it keeps people safer. So the word natural, even the most natural product isn't natural if it's growing a bunch of mold in it. So instead of recoiling, maybe when you see a preservative on a label, maybe ask the brand why they chose the preservative that they did, because any responsible brand can explain that choice and explain it cleanly. They shouldn't be hiding from the question. So preservatives aren't about cutting corners. It really is about responsibility and making sure that you're keeping your customers safe.